is Nick. In the name of the FC Schalke Nofia team, I want to congratulate you on your 100th episode. Thanks for supporting us in the US, and hopefully there will be many more episodes of your podcast in the future. Glück auf!
Out to the top. Ball still in play. Oh, what a goal! What a magnificent, absolutely stupendous strike from Kevin Kharman. Borovic through to Raul. Lovely chip by Raul. 4-1 Schalke.
Thank you, Nick. Blau und Weiß ein Leben lang. Hallo, meine Leute. Wie geht's? Willkommen zum das einzige Schalke Podcast auf English. That's right, folks. Officially the world's only English Schalke podcast worldwide. This is episode 100 of SchalkeMerica, and I'm your host, Richard Kharman. This pod aims to bring you the latest from the Royal Blues, talk to the English-speaking fans at the club, get their point of view across, and bring you game highlights. Joining me on the show, as always, is Jack Mangan. How we doing, Jack, on episode 100?
Doing fantastic, and congratulations to you on episode 100. Congratulations to us, but you know, you as the original creator before I joined on. I was hoping to record this. I'm actually in Wisconsin right now, which is not where I'm typically located. I was hoping to record this outside, and I was going to light up, like a victory cigar for us and everything to celebrate, but couldn't get that
smoke
working.
alarms now, right?
Yeah.
So how we doing? So as you all heard in the opening of this podcast, Nick Taitague, as he tells us, he gives us a thanking us for our 100 episodes and for everything we've been doing for to spread the Schalke love in the United States and Canada and abroad to the English speaking audience. So that's very cool of him to do that for us, Jack.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we really appreciate him taking time out of his busy schedule to contribute to a podcast over here in the U.S., which is definitely not his primary concern, nor should it be. So we appreciate the Schalke support as always, and Nick for taking some time with us.
Absolutely. We're gonna do. Let's tell you about the rundown for the show tonight. So just so you're aware of what's going on. So we will do the Nick interview first. We want to get that out of the way because one, it's a special interview. We want to make sure as many people get to it as possible. And then we're going to get into Werder Bremen, what happened there, Wagner's pushing out the door, get him out, he's gone. Then obviously we're going to talk about the new manager, Baum, and he brings along Naldo to join us in the show, or not on the show, but on the team, which is awesome to hear. And then we'll get to some listener question and answers. We want to preface this at saying that the interview is pre-recorded, so I apologize if you had some questions for Nick. You can still send it our way, and we'll try to relay over to Nick. But this is pre-recorded, so apologize for that. And don't mind the lag in the video just a little bit. So we did our best, but Jack, excited about the video and the interview with Nick. We had a fun time doing it, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the first opportunity we had to speak to a player over at Schalke. Hopefully we get some more of those in the future, but definitely a special experience for us, and no better way to usher in the 100th episode of the podcast than with a player on the show.
Yep. And before we get to the video, I do want to mention about we did do a giveaway for our 100th episode. We did get a winner. I don't know if everyone saw on social media, but we did get a winner. His name is Christopher Wieland, aka the Spare Wheel on Twitter. So congratulations to you on the jersey. It's coming in the mail, so you should be getting it this week. But thank you to everyone who participated in the drawing. We had a lot of fun, and this is going to be a fun episode. So I think without further ado, let's get over to the video, Jack, and we'll still be in the chat, but enjoy the video. And now joining with us is a very special guest. His name is Nick. He's from Midlothian, Virginia, but by right now he's living in Gelsenkirchen. Please welcome to the show, Nick Taitague. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. Hello, everyone.
So, Nick, did we get the pronunciation of the last name correct? That's the most important thing. There's been a lot of debate about this, and actually, you sent us a nice little audio message a couple months ago congratulating us on behalf of Schalke for our 100th episode, which is coming up, I think, in just 1 or 2 episodes here. And Richard and I, as excited as we were to hear that message, we were hoping for a pronunciation of the last name. And you started it off with just, hey, it's Nick. And we were like, dang, we didn't get it. So can you just set the record straight? We have the source right in front of us for all time. What is the correct pronunciation?
It is hard, but this is correct. It's Taitague.
Taitague, there we go.
Taitague. All right.
In Guam, where it's from, they usually say Taitague, which actually a lot of Germans say. They say it well, but in America we say Taitague.
All right. Good
Okay.
to know.
We'll make sure to get that correct for the rest of the season. Appreciate it. So I think it was back in February you extended your contract for an additional season through the end of this upcoming season here with a club option to extend for a couple years beyond that. What do you think Schalke's seen in you so far through your time here that's given them the confidence to want to extend with you going forward? And what have you enjoyed about the club that has given you the confidence this is where you want to continue your career for the time being?
Well, I think I did very well, but I had a lot of injuries, and what I wanted to show them was that I really wanted this, and that's what my goal originally when I came here, an important player, and I wanted to show them that I'll give 110%, every time I go on the field, and especially throughout the injuries, I cherished the time that I was on the field, and I really wanted to give 110% every time. And I wanted to make that the most important thing. That what I wanted to show that in my play. When the times that I was on the field, and I think I did, and I was very proud to sign an extension. And I know there's a lot of work to be done, and I want to restore that faith. Glad to be here.
Nick, this is Richard. It's a difficult time for all of us. Obviously, the pandemic is still going on. Have you found it difficult to maintain focus on soccer given the recent world events? And do you feel mentally and physically recharged and ready for the season?
I definitely do now. I'm very motivated just because when league games and the world of football is continuing, and I'm happy to be a part of that. And I mean, I think back in February, March when it was originally happening, I think it was a lot harder because you didn't know if you were going to play. Next week or month, so you're just like, what am I doing this for? But I think could go fast, what I mean? So like you had to be ready, and I was actually injured at the time, so I wanted to get back no matter what. So I was working hard. So it hasn't been really hard to stay motivated, now that the games have been rolling.
So in your conversations, early into your time with the senior team, where do you feel like you're going to be slotting in? Have you had conversations with David Wagner about what kind of role he thinks that you're going to be used in when we see you get minutes this season? And going along with that, is that role what you would also consider to be where you can optimize your own talents and where you feel most comfortable and where you prefer to play? Or are some of the things that we're going to be seeing you do and what you're going to be being asked to do, is that going to be somewhat foreign, a little bit of a change for you in terms of how you generally like to play?
I do think it's a little bit of a change, but at the same time, I'm getting used to it every day. It's kind of like which is kind of a mix of a winger and a central role. So I think I just need to get adjusted and tactically aware of the runs, the pressing, and every day I get a little bit of a better understanding of the position, and I'm sure in the future it'll get a little bit easier, and I think I'll slot in pretty nicely if I can understand the role well enough, which I'm up to it. So.
Jack, I think we saw a little bit of that in the recent friendly against Bochum, which is great to see, obviously. All right, Nick, your friendship with Weston McKennie is very well documented. Is there anyone apart from him that had been a great resource for you that you gotten close to at your time at Schalke?
When I first came here, it was lucky to come with Weston and Haji were there at the time, and I got close to Haji. He was here, I think 2 years ago, but he's playing elsewhere now. But we had a good bond, and it was a lot easier coming in because we had those American guys. They also spoke German when I arrived, so they were able to translate for me. And also Christian, when he played for, we always hung out. So yeah, it's been good. We have our own little database of Americans abroad, and we all stay.
Is there a particular favorite memory you have from your time at Schalke so far? A favorite accomplishment outside of promotion to the first team?
outside of signing the new contract, which was my goal, but obviously make new goals. But it was the run with the U19 against Bayern. That was very memorable. And, the whole team, we wanted to win so bad, and we won the first leg, and unfortunately we lost in the second. We lost on aggregate, but I think that was my best memory. All the fans, were behind us, and we felt all the support. And I just remember those times with, I was playing with Weston, Haji, and the other U19 guys. A lot of them are here actually with the first team now. So we continue that relationship now. That's one of my best memories.
So it's
We
really,
definitely need some competitiveness against Bayern. So if you can bring that into the first team, I think we'll all love that.
Yeah, they need to be stopped.
well, obviously that's some great accomplishments for you. And now that you've signed the extension, what do you feel? What do you want to accomplish in this next year with Schalke? What are your goals for this season?
I think definitely I want to be an important part of the team. That's what I'm working for. I want to be a regular, and I want to be able to decide games. Just I want to be with the team. Helping on the field as much as I can, and as much as I can do for the club. That's what I feel like I want to be in next year.
Excellent. Nick, in your time in the youth ranks, is there any player in particular that either hasn't made the jump to the first team yet, or somebody that fans haven't gotten a good look at yet, that you've been particularly impressed with, that you've played with, that you think we should keep an eye on for the future? Like, who are you excited about that hasn't quite made that jump yet as well?
That's hard to say, just because when I graduated, most of the guys either left or they graduated to the first team. So the guys I play with, feel like Nassim, Levin, Ahmed, like I played with them all and under 19. So, but I will say, the other American, Matthew, he scored a lot of goals in preseason. So, and I've had some conversations with him, and I hope the best for him. And he's hungry. He wants to prove himself. So I hope he does it as well.
Yeah, that's certainly a player that we've been keeping our eye on as well. Jack and I have. So, is there a player, Nick, active or retired, that you look up to and want to model your game after, or is Nick Taitague his own brand?
There are a lot of players, like attacking players, that I look up to. Like I watched a lot of Eden Hazard growing up, but because I like how he can change pace and the split second.
Yeah,
he can dribble, he can shoot, he can play the ball simple if he needs to. But I like trying to take something from every player, and I think that ties into what you say, like your own brand. I think it's important. You should take something from a lot of players, and so that's kind of what I want to model my game after. I want to be a lot of things, not just one.
You mentioned early on some of the injury struggles that you've had over the past couple seasons, and you're somebody who, despite not having gotten a lot of those minutes on a first team level yet, is a fairly recognizable and well-known name within U.S. men's national team circles, to pivot to that for a second. And so I was wondering, because I think it's been correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's been a couple of years now since you've had a call up to any sort of youth national team setup or anything. When you see some of the other guys around your age, Weston, Christian, Tyler Adams, even Josh Sargent to some extent coming on at Werder Bremen now, when you see what some of these guys have been able to break through, is that something that gives you encouragement and optimism going forward? Or is there a part of you that is at all concerned that these injury issues you've had the past couple of years have caused you to potentially miss an important window to start building your brand and get a foot in the door with the national team and be a part of this next generation that's coming through?
Yeah, I do think some of the injuries were a little bit concerning. At the time, I think now I can say otherwise. And at the time it was hard, having hope. But I mean, now I'm very up and doing what they're doing, very motivating, and we're also very close. And it's been my dream to play for the national team. But if you want to play for the national team, you have to play good for your club. And so Schalke is my priority right now. And so yeah, I want to prove myself with Schalke, and it starts here.
Absolutely.
Nick, you've been in Germany now for quite a while. Is there anything particular about that you noticed from the coaching or the environment that you think it's conducive to have so many American players go play there? And then, what is it about just the culture there that Americans seem to thrive, especially as of late? Many of Americans have come through, as Jack just mentioned. What do you think about it, the whole culture there and the environment in Germany that helps breed the success for these Americans?
I think first in the rules with a foreign country, I think England is like very hard, because I think if you're 18 or you're under 18, you have to be playing for the first team to even get a work permit.
Oh wow.
And I also think like Holland has a similar role, but I think you have to meet like a certain salary. So it's very hard to get younger players. But I do think Germany in the beginning, like Christian and I noticed that there's a lot of scouts that go to events in the U.S., like academy tournaments, and they see that players there have potential. But I think it's a good idea, just because in America they usually think you're going to college. Like in Weston, you're going to go to college before Schalke. So that's kind of the step that you need to take, and they get them at the U19 level, and I think that's a good understanding of they need one year before pro, which is U19, and I think it's a good idea, especially for the future, to get develop players before the professional levels.
Is there any aspect of German culture that you've come to appreciate that you think Americans in general are sleeping on, that we need to be aware of? I don't know if it's like a custom or a food or anything like that. Anything that you've taken to since you've been over there that you think we need to be aware of and get on the train? You could say no and just go
no
America.
Pressure.
That's fine with us.
Yeah, the customs or the culture that I like some of the food here. Their respect for beer and like the Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
And I like when I came over, I used to eat the schnitzel a lot. So it's like a giant chicken nugget basically. so I'm familiar with chicken nuggets, so I eat that a lot.
Hey, Oktoberfest fan, man after my own heart. I respect that.
Yeah, I've got to partake in the schnitzel and the Oktoberfest in Germany as well, so
yeah,
I can test how good that is there. So, last question, we're going to wrap it up with. Give us your take on VAR. I mean, everyone has one. I'm curious what yours is as a player. We as fans, we have our opinions, but I'm curious what the player's perspective is.
That's hard, just because I see both sides of it. I see like if it was a penalty, it should have been a penalty, even if it was ruled not a penalty. But they have to take that back. They kind of take the emotion out of the game, and I see the side also of the ruling on the field. Those refs are there for a reason, and they're in the game. They feel the game, and I'm leaning more on the side of that. Maybe there shouldn't be VAR, just a game, and there's some players that like diving, of course. So I'm more on the side that it should just be the refs.
Fair enough. Jack, I think that's a answer we expected for the most part. I mean, obviously fans are very passionate. They have their own opinions. Sometimes it's a little crazy, but it's good to hear a player's perspective on something like that, right, Jack?
Absolutely. And Nick, we want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to just sit down and chat with us briefly. You are the first player to make an appearance on the SchalkeMerica podcast. It's an honor that I'm sure you'll hold close to your heart for the rest of your playing career. It's a tremendous accomplishment.
It's definitely cool.
No, but we thank you for that, and we will be rooting for your success and for the team's success, of course, throughout this upcoming season. So stay safe, and best of luck to you as you continue to try to develop in your career here.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nick. All right, that was the interview with Mr. Taitague, as he says. Jack, it was very kind of him to sit down with us for 15 minutes or so and really talk about his career and the ups and downs and where he sees it going forward.
Just realized
you're
that.
muted,
Thank
but
you very much. It wasn't a particularly interesting comment anyway, so don't worry about it. No. No, yeah, but
Yeah,
once again,
okay, very good.
it's very cool to get the opportunity to actually hear directly from some of the people on the ground over there. Definitely a nice change of pace as opposed to us just talking about it from afar. So hopefully we can get some more player interviews in the future. That kind of access is awesome, and we'd love to be able to check in with people occasionally throughout the campaign. So we'll see. But I mean, for the meantime, at least that was great opportunity, and nice to speak to Nick. He's a great young guy, and hopefully he can contribute to our campaign this season somehow at some point.
I feel we gave him a really tough question with what's his take on the favorite custom, because he wasn't sure to answer.
You know what? Every American over in Germany gets that question, so I felt bad for asking it because it's kind of like I'm sure they've been asked that like 30 times, but
yeah.
Anyway, so
it's all right. Got to put him in the hot seat every now and then, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Nick. Obviously, it was before the moves that happened this past week. But yeah, let's get into that, because we thought things were certainly bad after that Bayern game. 8-0 debacle. Shithousery basically is what it was. And then we heard rumors were that, Wagner had to get a win or that his job was on the line. And there was no confirmation of that, but what we saw in the game was basically a one-team affair. If Schalke was at home, we hope that maybe they'll have a better performance, at least put some fight into the game against Bremen. But what ensued was pretty much a domination, in my opinion, by Werder Bremen. 2 goals by Nicholas Füllkrug in the first half, in the 22nd minute, and then the 37th minute. And really no defense to his goals. Pretty much left wide open. Füllkrug would get the hat trick in the 59th minute, I believe, off a penalty kick. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter at that point. The team didn't deserve anything better at that point. So 3-0. We look very, very lackluster. To add to the misery, Mr. Ozan Kabak picks up a red card, or a second yellow, I guess, for knocking down, I forget the player's name.
I don't recall.
Was it Finn Bogason, or who was it? Either way, he knocked him down, got a red card. We'll find out after. We'll talk about what happened with that play a little bit in a second, but he gets a red card. Schalke are down a man. We do get a consolation goal through Mark Uth. It was a decent goal, but consolation goal didn't mean anything really. We lose 3-1. After the game, we find out that there was a spitting incident with Mr. Kabak. He immediately apologized on Twitter, on all social media, I assume to the player as well. Apologized, said he had no intent of doing that, but there is precedence in the league when other players have done this, and this being Kabak's first incident. The DFB went hard, but didn't go. Could have been worse, I guess. He got 5-game ban for spitting. I assume they're going to appeal it, but that's what the news that came out, I think today or yesterday, that he's going to get a 5-game suspension for that spitting incident. Where do you want to begin with this game?
I mean, I don't think we need to go super in depth in terms of breaking it down, just because there's a managerial change anyway. So the things that we may have been seeing in that might not be what we're going to see going forward. Well, I guess we'll wait and find out. But I mean, yeah, basically what you had said previously was, we kind of expected that Bayern game to not go well. I mean, maybe we didn't expect 8-0, but we expected it to be fairly ugly. What we were looking for against Werder Bremen was just a bounce back performance. I mean, not even necessarily a win, just because we know.
Just fight.
Yeah, just show us something. First 15, 20 minutes of that game, we weren't bad. We're moving the ball around, playing possession a little bit. And then once that first goal goes in, it just, the heads drop and everything falls apart. And I mean, you can see the hat trick to Füllkrug. Like, I mean, come on, like really, the first goal for him off of a corner kick. No one marks him. The guy's wide open. There's 4 players marking Josh Sargent, who's heading the ball back down into the ground. Everyone else is ball watching. He slips in behind, and it's an easy tap in goal. The second goal comes from Stambouli getting absolutely burned from not even on a counterattack, on a free kick, no less. Just cannot stay with his man. I mean, that was an issue in the Bayern game, but some of that is just, Bayern has some very fast players, so we would expect that. But if you're getting smoked like in your own box, from like a step, it's not a great look. I mean, that was far too easy of a goal to concede. And then the third one was the penalty, I believe, from the foul from Kabak.
Yeah.
And I mean, I mentioned this on Twitter. I mean, actually, going back to our conversation with Derek Ray, actually, what we talked about on there partially was we really need, manager aside, we need the right characters in the squad.
Yeah.
The kind of people that are going to not drop the heads and not give up the entire game plan or whatever the second the goal goes in and things start going poorly. Because we've seen this in the second half of the season under Tedesco's second campaign. We've seen this last year, David Wagner. It's like we come out with a game plan, and then once you get this momentum of losses and it becomes kind of a habit, the time the first goal goes in, you feel like the team's like, here we go again, rather than really digging in and doubling down. And Kabak's a young player that I think we're all very excited about, but I mean, he was shocking. Not just from a performance standpoint because he was bad, but he looked like he was just completely bailing. I mean, his
head down the whole time.
Yeah, his coach's job is on the line. His team is very much in the shit, and I mean, he has an opportunity as a young guy who's one of our most talented players to step up and try to be a rock at the back, be a leader for this team, because he could step into a leadership role. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of a vacuum of that at the moment, and instead, we see him committing very cheap, aggressive fouls. He made that first. I mean, the spitting incident as well. He claimed on Twitter that it wasn't intentional, and maybe it wasn't. Watching it live, man, it looked intentional. Because that foul he didn't try to play the ball on that foul. It was a dirty foul. And then as he's finishing that up, he looks like he's looking at the guy and spits. And especially during COVID, it's not a good look. Now, is that action actually particularly dangerous? I mean, these players are getting tested all the time. Right. So, I mean, it's probably not a big deal, but just the optics of that too, when we have this thing going on, it's even worse. Yeah, just a player who looked like he was totally bailing out there. And he's not one of the guys that I expected, to kind of demonstrate that lack of character when things went badly. So I was very disappointed in him in particular. And, hopefully he has some time now to think about it and potentially with the new manager changes attitude and his approach, because, I mean, Lord knows we need him, man. We need him this campaign.
We do. And, the stats, if you just look at the stats alone, it's deceiving. I mean, we had 18 shots to their 17. We had, 4 shots on target to their 7. We outpossessed them, 60-something to 30-something. So the optics were definitely off. But you watching the game, you can see the team didn't have anything in them. It's, Werder was basically soaking up the pressure and playing on the counterattack. I talked about it, and during halftime, I said, set pieces, again, it's just we're not doing anything on set pieces, letting them do what they want, and led to the 2 full crew goals in the first half. So, yeah, all the way around, a lot of issues going on. We knew once that game ended that something was going to happen. Even people, the ever optimist thinking, hey, maybe Wagner's going to get his job saved. I don't think anyone was thinking his job was saved after that game. And we found out the day after that he was gone. Many speculations about who would take his place. Many names are up in there. I was talking about Mark van Bommel to a couple people, and then before his name got mentioned. But we were talking back and forth about several possibilities. The one name that kept coming back and over and over again was Manuel Baum, former Augsburg manager. He was constantly in the top 3 of the names. This is probably the most consistent name we saw over and over with the rumors. But today they did make the announcement. Manuel Baum becomes the new manager, and I think a surprise with that is that he brings along a cult hero, a familiar face, someone with integrity, character, and leadership, and that's Mr. Naldo. What is your reaction with the hiring of Baum? But then, even more importantly, what do you think about Naldo and what he brings to the team?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Ralf Rangnick for a bit, and that was a popular name that was going around in the Schalke community. Obviously, been at Schalke previously, but we had spoken. There's various reasons, both on Rangnick's side and on the Schalke hierarchy side, about why that probably wouldn't work out. But he actually went on TV this past weekend and addressed that and basically said he wouldn't rule out a move back to Schalke. He just didn't see it happening at the time. So that kind of for some people stoked the fire further, but other people were like, well, he just kind of said it wasn't going to happen. So, but anyway, as you said, Baum was one of the consistent candidates previously of Augsburg. He's been out of a job since I want to say April 2019, something like that.
Yeah, he's been with the German U20s or whatever.
Yeah, he's been with the U18 team. Germany, I mean, out of a club job, I should say.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, his record at Augsburg wasn't fantastic. I want to say he had a win percentage of something like 27%.
Yep.
Got points in like 50 something percent of his matches.
Yep.
But once again, it's Augsburg, and they don't necessarily have the squad or the resources some other clubs. So I mean, there's certainly times where they definitely played well under him, and he's considered, I guess, to be a little bit more flexible and tactically minded than David Wagner is. So I mean, I'm definitely willing to give him a shot. I feel like there's a lot of negativity in the Schalke community right now, just being like underwhelmed by this hire. But once again, who are we going to get? I mean, there's financial constraints. There's serious constraints in terms of who would even want the job at this point, given the financial situation, the way the performances have been recently. I mean, it's an intimidating position to voluntarily throw yourself into, and he seems like he is. He's going into it eyes open, right? He knows what he's getting himself into. He said that, and he's very excited about, the opportunity. So that's all you can really hope for. And from, it's a guy with previous Bundesliga experience, and I'm totally fine with that hire, and I'm willing to see how it goes. And then the other point you asked was the Naldo point. And, generally I'm not a huge fan of former players with like no coaching experience, just immediately like slotting into a coaching staff. But in this situation, I don't think that's why he's there.
No.
And I think you would agree with me. It's because you need somebody who was a leader on the field and in the locker room when he was there, somebody who cares deeply about the club and is familiar with it, familiar with the Bundesliga, familiar with Schalke, all that, and somebody to hopefully whip these guys into shape and keep the group together and fighting and all moving in the same direction. And that's what Naldo, I think, brings to the table in this role. Not to say that he's not going to have any impact on the coaching side, but I think he's definitely more of a leadership figure, somebody that some of the players are still familiar with from their time there. So I absolutely love that move. I love having Naldo back. I think it's going to serve us well. So overall, I'm feeling fairly positively about all of it. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think overwhelmingly the decision to bring on Naldo was met with 100%. I think positivity. That helped the Baum signing to have Naldo there, because I think obviously he is held in such high regard, like you mentioned. So I was happy to see him there. It's funny, someone mentioned that, since Kabak is now getting 5 games suspension, now we get Naldo playing defense for us, right? We're like, I don't think so, but yeah.
It might not be worse than Stambouli at the moment, so who knows? But
right. So I want to get back real quick to some of the rumors. Rangnick and Van Bommel. The reason why I was like looking at Van Bommel is what he did with PSV and the attacking style with him. But obviously he needs a lot of pieces that we don't have right now. I thought originally when Rangnick's name came up, I said there's no chance in heck, because I know what he wants. He wants a sporting director job and a manager job, and Jochen Schneider's not going to give that up. But then we heard rumors this week that, maybe, Jochen Schneider's job's on the line, so maybe Rangnick's a very good possibility. And I was like, well, okay, if that's a situation, okay, I can see Rangnick coming on, and he's all about youth development. Maybe we can see some of our youth players come back into the fold. Katuchu, American, Bujalev getting some more time, Bazuan. But ultimately, it was Jochen Schneider coming out and saying, that's not going to happen. He costs too much money. And I know that there's no way Rangnick's going to take any job that's just a manager job. He wants more power. And so unless he's going to get that, he's not going to get the job. So that's what we had here at Schalke. Now we got the new man, Marcel Baum, or Manuel Baum. I keep calling him Marcel all day long. I don't know. Manuel Baum. Yeah, it's an interesting hire. Obviously coming up in Unterhaching, through that ranks there, and then eventually getting the job with Augsburg. Did okay job, and end up going to the U18s or U19s for Die Mannschaft. People are wondering what's he going to bring to Schalke. They said that Jochen Schneider said this is the guy, the right guy for the job, mentality-wise, a specialist. He is a tactics guy. You look at some of the stuff that he did with Augsburg. He believes very much in the pressing type system. Typically, defensively, his teams line up in a 4-5-1, or even depending on the team, like maybe like a Dortmund or Bayern, who have the wingers, the pace. He'll maybe do like a 5-4-1. But he believes very much in the pressing game, kind of similar to what we saw with Tedesco, where if an opponent loses the ball, automatic pressure on it, trying to get a turnover immediately. Really, with the team, what we saw in Augsburg, the teams tend to set back and then try to counter against the opposition. I expect a very similar setup to what he had at Augsburg. He's got some midfielders that hopefully can play better now under him. Hopefully with Naldo there, will raise the spirits, keep the locker room loose but focused, and have that leadership ability that we desperately need. And so, I'm ultimately positive about this, Jack, especially with the Naldo thing. Like you said, that's what has me excited about this whole thing. If it was just Baum, I'd be like, okay, well, we'll get it. We're 100% behind him no matter what. We have to be, right? But I'm a little bit more positive now with Naldo, I think, and I will willing to go on the edge and say that everybody else is 100% happy with Naldo being on board too.
Yeah, the other thing I liked from some of the comments I heard him make initially was the emphasis he placed on bringing youth players through the ranks. Obviously, that's something that's important to Schalke supporters in general. The Knappschaft is a major point of pride for us. It's something in a part of our club that's widely respected outside of our club, and it's something that we've also criticized David Wagner for.
Yeah.
Even early into this season, with the likes of Katuchu and Chan Bosdawan not even making the match day squad, forget the bench, not even making the match day squad.
Yeah.
And we had, I believe I heard whoever was commentating the Schalke Bremen match say that our squad was like the second highest average age.
Yeah.
That starting 11, which is, probably not what you want to be doing either, especially when the guys that you're talking about are, people like Ibisevic, who's at the end of his career, or loan players who are, that we're not particularly excited about. Or guys like Stambouli, who seem to be sort of past it now. It's not as if we have, a bunch of older players near 30 that are all like, at their peak and people that we really rely on. The people we've been relying on are, the younger guys, Kabak, Harit, Serdar, and we've been excited about some of the youth. So hopefully if he makes good on that and tries to reintegrate some of these guys that maybe haven't gotten quite the opportunities that we think they should have, or haven't got any opportunities at all early into this season, that's something I'm excited about. And then the other thing I thought was interesting was if I remember correctly, he often played like a 4-2-3-1.
Yes,
sort of a general.
That's his
general.
Correct.
Yeah, and obviously it depends on how you use those wide midfielders in a 4-2-3-1. But oftentimes those are winger type players, more attacking minded players, and that's a position that we seem to have a serious lack of at the moment. It's something we've talked about previously with David Wagner. So I'm going to be curious to see if he tries to make that work here, or if if we see him changing to a general starting shape that's slightly more foreign, or even going to like a 5-4-1, as you mentioned, or even, 3 at the back potentially. I doubt that at the moment with some of the injuries and suspensions and everything. But it'll be interesting to see what he says, especially because we've been, we have Utbek, we have Ibisevic and Paciencia on. So we're bringing in all these strikers. And you would wonder if we go back to like a one striker system instead of a partnership, if that's going to disappoint some of the guys who just came in thinking that they were maybe going to get more playing time. So a lot up in the air, but I think in general, you and I both, we'll see how it goes. We feel pretty good about it. And the Naldo thing I think is huge, and hopefully that settles everyone down and gets everyone pulling in the same direction.
William Kremp is asking a question: how much truth is there to the Da Costa rumors, and do you guys think a move for him will be made? I don't know if a move will be made, because I got to see what kind of move it's going to be. A loan, or what is it, or is it a buyout? And we don't have that much money first off, so it's probably going to be a loan with the option to buy. Currently, Da Costa is a third stringer over at Frankfurt. That's where he's at, right? Frankfurt.
Yeah.
So he wants to move out. I think they should go for it, because we don't have. He would fill a position that we don't have currently. I mean, Rudy. I'd rather have Da Costa there than Rudy. But that's just me. So yeah, I think I think there's truth to that rumor. Will we get him? I don't know. It's still a wait and see. I didn't think we were going to get another keeper, and we did. So it's possible at this point. And maybe this is if Baum comes in and says, I need this guy, I think they're going to try to do what they can to at least bring him on a loan. What do you think about these rumors here?
I have a feeling that this one is probably more smoke than fire, but I definitely wouldn't hate it. I'd be fine with that. He's a player that I generally have a pretty good opinion of, and the fact that he's sort of fallen out of favor recently at Frankfurt, could prove to be a good opportunity for us if we bring him in. And maybe Frankfurt's just going to give us all their players that they don't need. Paciencia.
We got the goalie now.
I'd be fine with that. And whatever we can do, because obviously we could use some help. So, I'm not sure, but the goalie situation is interesting if you want to move on to that. So, So we swapped today on loan. Such a weird move. Frederick Rano for Marcus Schubert.
Yep.
So first of all, I don't understand why Schalke would have made this move unless they're planning on Rano being our starting goalkeeper over Ralph Fährmann. If that ends up being the case, I think that's incredibly harsh on Fährmann because, I mean, despite the fact that we've now set a Bundesliga record for most goals allowed through the first 2 matches of the season with 11, we set records back-to-back weeks to start the Bundesliga, largest, I think opening defeat and then most goals through 2 matches. But I don't think anyone can watch either of those matches and say, you know what? That's Fährmann's fault. That's who it is.
He's been left out to dry both games.
I mean, come on. I mean, you look at the game. I mean, the goals in the Werder Bremen game, it's a penalty. Those are scored 75% of the time. So, I mean, not his fault. The first one, completely unmarked. Nothing he can do. And the third one, once again, unmarked. I mean, like, come on. Like, these are not, like, goalkeeper blunders or anything like that. So, if we're bringing this guy in really to make him the starter over Fährmann, I feel really bad for Fährmann because he was kind of kicked out last year, comes back in. We're looking for his leadership back there. And then after 2 games, which aren't his fault, he gets pushed aside. If he's not going to be the starting keeper, Rano, that is, I don't understand we make this loan move at all. Because it's not a loan with an option to buy as far as I'm aware. So if he plays really well for some reason, we might not be able to keep him.
Yeah.
In which case we just gave
Fährmann.
Yeah, and Schubert's not going to play at Frankfurt. Exactly. So we just gave him away for a season for no reason. It puzzles me entirely. I don't understand this move. We're going to have to, maybe it's a move that's being pushed by Manuel Baum. Possibly. Maybe that was something that he was trying to get done as part of his, I don't know. We'll wait and see. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it was head scratching to me too. I'm like, if you move in Schubert so you can get some playing time, okay, I get that. But that's not the case because Frankfurt's pretty set at goalkeeper. And then you bring in this other guy, and I had the same feelings as you. It's like, oh, are you going to bench Fährmann? He has done nothing to deserve a benching. Just the whole thing is just confusing to me. And so I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what the lineup looks like against Leipzig. I mean, I would think Fährmann's going to start for Leipzig. He has to. All the players that started pretty much last week are probably going to start because Baum's really got to see the team, see who does what. I know today in this first training he had 11 versus 11, pretty much to see what the guys are like on the pitch. But I would guess Fährmann starts that game. But if they're making a goalie switch, that's head scratching to me. I mean, like you said, if he does well, then he's going to go back to his club. And
exactly. Imagine if Rano isn't the starter and comes in as a backup. What kind of message does that send to Schubert?
Yeah.
We don't want you as our backup. We don't even want you as a backup. We want this other guy who we have no connection to as a backup. Yeah. I mean, the amount that we have messed with this young man's head, I feel so because he was doing perfectly fine at Dresden, I believe is where he came from.
Yeah.
We should have just left the poor guy alone. I mean, I legitimately feel bad for him at this point. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with that and with the new head coach ultimately decides to do with the goalkeeping position, but that was a strange move as well. And once again, not really reinforcing the positions that we need help at the moment, which would be fullback mostly. And then in the attack as well, even with the recent, Paciencia and Ibisevic move.
Hey, for those in our live chat, tell us what you made of the move of Baum and Naldo. Tell us what you thought. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let us know in the chat, and we'll talk about it here during the podcast. There was rumors going on before the game, before he got hired, I should say, that they saw him in Gelsenkirchen, but he was with the youth team with the Mannschaft, and he is known to go around to look at the young players. He was there to see the Knappen-Schmiede. In his interview or his press conference, I should say, he did talk about the Knappen-Schmiede and talked about how he does want to rely on the youth, which is great to hear. He did that heavily when he was at Augsburg. That's kind of why we saw the emergence of Philipp Max over there and some of the other youngsters over there. So that's only good signs for us. Obviously having Bazduan and Bujleb and maybe the reemergence of Katuchu, who knows? But I think what we noticed, at least at the end of last year, of all the lineups that we had out there, the lineup that had probably the most fight in them were the youngsters in that Leverkusen match. We didn't do well in that. We didn't result-wise. We didn't get what we wanted to, but they had a lot of fight in that game, and that's all we asked for at this point. That's the coal miner mentality: is try hard, work your ass off. We talked about this with Derek Ray last week. That's all. That's the minimum what they asked for, and we need to start seeing that because we certainly didn't see that in the last 2 games. And so, everyone's going to be paying attention closely to this game on what day is it? Saturday this weekend, coming up against Leipzig. It's a difficult task for anybody. He knows what he's stepping into. He talked about it as presser. And the other thing with me, it wasn't like before he got hired, they were saying, "Oh, this is going to probably be an interim signing, and then probably bring in someone else after." He signed a 2-year deal, so that doesn't seem so interim to me, Jack. Maybe that's standard protocol that they give any manager a 2-year deal, but it sounds like they're going to stick with him. And I think, someone made the comment on Twitter that, whether he's the guy or not, give this guy a fair chance. It might have been our friend Cedric Zelmat. Give the guy a fair chance. This is all, give him an opportunity to, try to develop this team how he sees fit, and give him an opportunity like, so many guys before him didn't get a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's unlikely that we see this team play worse than they were under David Wagner. I think that's almost impossible in terms of the performances recently. And I would be surprised if they were playing even as poorly. I think it's just important to keep in mind, though, we said this 5-game stretch was going to be brutal from the beginning. That's with David Wagner or whoever. It doesn't matter what manager it is. It's a very difficult 5-game stretch. In this first match, with minimal preparation on Baum's part, against Leipzig, everyone, I would just ask that everyone kind of try to reserve some judgment and not, jump to massive conclusions if this one goes poorly for us, or even if it goes well. Let's settle down. We got the change that I think a lot of people wanted and had asked for. And now we just got to give the guy some time. And hopefully it's easy for us to give him time because hopefully the performances improve. But, even if we have a couple rough games initially, I think we have to, give him a fair shot and everything. So hopefully everyone, is supportive and does that. And I'm sure they will be.
There's some interesting chatter on the chat right here. Two guys with input on the Schubert and the Schubert saga and everything. And, first William Kremp says he thinks he's asking, was the move for sending Schubert out so maybe he could learn more from Trapp than he could from Fairman? Maybe. Trapp's a very quality goalkeeper, or has been for a long time, so that's a possibility. But Schalke Brazil said that it's said that Schubert left due to the troubled atmosphere in the club, and in addition, he'll be able to learn from Trapp, play some games with less pressure there. If that's the case, okay, I get that maybe, but you still mess with his head, whether that's your intention or not. I think, like you said, Jack, you've been messing with this kid's head so much over the last year or so.
That's messing with Fairman's head as well.
Yeah.
We want him to go learn from Kevin Trapp, not from you.
Better than you.
Yeah.
Oh man, so
who knows, man?
Who knows?
Our goalkeeper situation's just been so silly over the past 2 seasons. I'm tired of talking about it.
Yeah, I am too. I do know with what we're gonna see from Baum. The only thing I can say with certainty is that, looking at what he did with other clubs he's managed, is that defensively they're going to try to set up shop and take away the passing lanes, take away the middle, force the teams on the outside, and then I guess obviously when they play against teams like Dortmund and Bayern, they're going to try to spread out the defense more. But in the attack, I feel like they're going to try to outnumber teams and really try to focus on one wing or whatever, just outnumber the opposition, because that's been a trademark of Baum's career thus far. So we'll see. It's the coming weekend, a difficult match against Leipzig, and if you want to take this little tidbit here, I believe, and someone can fact check me, I think Baum's first game with Augsburg when he took over, it was against Leipzig, and they won that game. It was 1-0 against a heavily favored Leipzig. So maybe we see another. Maybe that's why he was hired, just for this game. Who knows?
He's going to be interim. It's going to be the one match, and then
yeah. That's 2020. Anything's possible. So, anything else you want to talk about with these two guys?
No, I'm just glad that we can finally put this David Wagner era behind us, hopefully, and I'm excited to see what's to come from the squad in the next few match days. So, once again, everyone settle down, see what happens, and looking forward to being back here next week to talk about it.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Got to be behind the new man and see what he can bring. Give him a chance. So let's see. We asked listeners and followers, send us some questions that you have. Nick, Paul, who's on the call here, he asked some questions about Nick. Unfortunately, I had to break the news to him that it was pre-recorded, it wasn't live. So, but we'll send the message to Nick, and hopefully he'll respond to that. David Thielen on Facebook says, looking forward to the interview with Nick. On another note, I hope Coach Baum chooses to keep Kutucu at Schalke. We know Wagner never valued him much, but both Kutucu and Skripski can nicely complement Pacienza and Ibisevic, especially if there are injuries, which we are bound to happen.
There was a rumor a couple days ago, I think, of I believe it might have been to Sassuolo,
in
Italy, for Kutucu.
So I have a
not cool, man. Not cool.
I know the reporter who mentioned that his name is John Solano. He's been on my show with the series I sit on many times. So he's a credible source. And I guess, Sassuolo, who is a very this team takes players who are unknown and turns them into superstars. This team can attack. They're almost as good as Atalanta over there, who score a lot of goals. This team scores a lot of goals. Catucci could learn from a guy like Caputo, who is a fantastic striker. But I hope that doesn't happen. I hope he obviously stays with us. But if he goes somewhere, at least we'll be watching him. He'll probably develop into a stud if he goes to Sassuolo and then gets sold for millions to somebody else.
The whole free Catucci thing has gotten away from us. It's being spun into an entirely different meaning.
This is not what we meant.
Yeah, we're not trying to ship this guy away. We're trying to get him in the in the first team picture here.
Free him into the starting 11 is what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, so hopefully he stays and gets an opportunity under Baum. I certainly hope that's the case. So thank you for that comment, David. Our friend Glenn William, from the Canadian Facebook group says, congratulations from your friends from Canada on reaching 100 episodes. We hope to find something to talk about tonight. And we certainly did. A couple of things here, Jack. And then I think that's the only ones I saw. I don't know if you caught anything else, but I think all of us are just sitting on our chairs waiting for the news today, the break. And then now we're just like, okay, let's see what happens. I think we're gonna have an all-time high on the YouTube training sessions for Schalke for this week to see how they look ahead of time. I will say this: Naldo's never looked taller next to Baum, because Baum's 5'7", the smallest manager in Bundesliga, and Naldo
and a goalkeeper in his playing career, which just does. I don't know.
Jorge Campos, anyone? No.
Yeah.
So, anything you want to talk about, or we can just wrap this one up? It was a fun episode. Obviously, to have Nick and.
Just want to shout out, to all of our listeners who have been here, either old listeners or new listeners who've been with us to this 100th episode.
Thank you so much.
I remember when I fired off a Twitter DM to you, to see if I could come on for a single episode. I never expected that I would, be here 100 episodes later, whatever it's been, since I joined you doing this. It's been a tremendous pleasure for me. So thank you to you, Richard, for this partnership, and thank you to everyone who's supported us and helped continue to grow this podcast over time. We really appreciate everybody.
This has come full circle, because your first match was when Naldo scored that famous cult goal for the 4-4 game in the derby, and then now he's back as a head coach or assistant coach. So hey, look at that! It all works out. The 100 episodes that we've had here, all the people who followed us, it's been an amazing journey, and we're continuing to evolve. Obviously thanking Schalke for providing us, obviously helping us out with the giveaway, but also having Nick on for us with the interview. We greatly appreciate that too. So, and all the viewing parties that come here in the US. So, last year, not this year. So yeah, it's been an amazing ride, and hopefully many more to come. But yeah, thank you all again. And to end on this, if you haven't signed up for the Schalke US newsletter, make sure you do so. Just put in your email, and you'll get those updates every month. I think we should wrap this up, Jack. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Keep tuning in each week as we bring you the latest from the Royal Blues. We want to thank Nick Taitague, for taking time out of his busy schedule to join us. Thank you to Schalke for linking us up with Nick and teaming up with us on our giveaway. So thank you also to everyone who participated in that giveaway. Thank you very much. Congratulations to the winner, to Christopher Whelan. And thank you to all the listeners who provided questions for our podcast. And if there are any topics you'd like us to discuss, send us a tweet at SchalkeMerica. And we do want to give a special shout out to our good friends NBC4 Nashville. We are thinking of you.
I was about to say, let's not do that, because we didn't even get a card from them on our 100th episode. No congratulations, no nothing. We've been shouting them out. We've been shouting them out for multiple years now. Nothing from them. Radio silence. I don't know, man.
We'll have to find another broadcast company to link up with, I guess. Jack, where can our followers find you on social media?
You can find me at JM Mangan, JMMangan on Twitter.
As always, I am at R_KHARMAN. I almost forgot that. Thank you, folks. Let's get ready for this matchup against Leipzig. New manager, new assistant manager. I'm ready. We'll see you at the next episode. Tschüss.